Hey, DR family, Pastor Seth here for today's chapel message. Now, in today's chapel message, I am actually coming to you live, actually not live, but recorded from my attic. Now, of all places, what a weird place to do a chapel, from an attic. But here's the reason why. I've enjoyed a little bit of this quarantine because I've gotten to work in this space. My kids needed more space, and so I'm transforming an attic room into a playroom where they can just hang out, spend time with each other, maybe even spend some time away from each other. So it's been great. I mean, I've gotten to do a lot of fun things and use some awesome tools. I mean, check this out. That's a gigantic circular saw. Or what about this? My other favorite saw, the reciprocating saw. Seems like something that like an action hero would run around with, right? Or I got to use this bad boy right here. It's a pretty awesome drill, right? I love using these tools. And I love being able to do projects here in my house to help bless my family. But when you look around and look behind me, something's off. Something's different. Look, there's some drywall here, but there's no drywall mud. There's no paint on the walls. Some of the insulation is still showing. This room, it's not complete. It's not done. And when stuff isn't done in my life, I get a little bit nervous. I get a little anxious. Like, am I ever going to finish this? Do I have the tools? Do I have the opportunity to do everything that I want to do? Can I complete it? And it makes me really nervous and really anxious because I just don't know. And I'm thinking maybe you're feeling somewhat similar. That you're thinking about school and you're thinking to your friends. And there were so many things that you wanted to do with your friends. A whole bunch of different activities. You just wanted to hang out with them, enjoy their time. You wanted to play sports with them. You wanted to play volleyball, basketball, run track, the whole thing. You wanted to study with them. Well, maybe you didn't want to study with them, but you should. But now that you can't spend any time with your friends, it kind of feels like your friendship is incomplete. It's not finished. And maybe you opened up your Google Classroom this Monday and you were completely overwhelmed by how much work that you might have to do before you even started it. And you don't know, will I be able to complete it? And so you're feeling nervous, you're feeling anxious, you might start getting pretty afraid. Or maybe if you're a parent watching this with your kids, you were so overwhelmed by Pastor Rex from different sources that the whole idea of trying to work at home and be a teacher is completely overwhelming, and you're thinking of all of the different things you have to do. Will you be able to complete all of those tasks and not lose your mind? I get it. There's so much in our life right now that is not complete. And so it's causing a lot of questions and anxieties in all of our hearts. So I think before I go any further in my rehab project in this room, I need a much better tool. One that's going to help me get through all of this lack of completeness. All of those feelings in my heart and my head about things not being finished. Because what this tool says, God's Word, is that when it comes to the most important thing, and in a time like this quarantine, we need to make sure that we keep the most important things as the most important things. And our first most important thing is to keep our eyes completely fixed on Jesus Christ. Because it's Jesus who has come to us, and he's looked at the mess in our lives, right? He's looked at all of the incompleteness that occurs in our hearts and in our lives and in our actions because of sin. He looks at all of that and says, I have to do something about this. And this is not a project I'm going to remain or allow to remain unfinished. Instead, this tool here that helps complete projects, it says one of Jesus' final words on the cross was, "It is finished." It. Whatever it was that separates you from trusting in Jesus, that's finished. as we keep the main things, we look at Jesus and what he's done for us on the cross and what he's done for us in his resurrection and how he communicates that resurrection in our daily lives through hearing his words of promise. In our baptisms, all of these things are ways where he continuously reminds us that it is finished. He loves us. His work to love us is finished. So come what may of what happens because of a quarantine or a pandemic, you never have to worry about not enough work being done between you and Jesus. He proclaims it is finished. It's complete. But the other thing is, regardless of what's happening today, I find comfort in Jesus being the one who completes my work for me and the one who brings me safety and security and peace and, importantly, grace. All of these things, he is continuously working in me until one day he will complete it. And so this is where I find very helpful the words of the scriptures, because hear what God has to say about all of the incompletions in our lives. He says, I am sure of this, that he who began a good work in you, that is, Jesus began a good work in you, that he will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. You will be complete someday. For right now, yep, we have some things that make us a little nervous, a little anxious. But when we keep the main thing, Jesus on the cross and Jesus resurrected for us, he can work peace in our hearts. And this peace that we feel right now in Jesus is awesome. But one day, it will be all complete, and all we will experience is peace in our hearts. And at that time, we will live in a body that can't get sick, we can't die, and there will be nothing that we will have to be afraid about. And so this week, I just want to leave you with the mercy and the grace and the peace of Jesus to calm any of your anxious hearts about all of the projects that are still incomplete, all of those friendships that still need some work, or we just want to enjoy, or all of those big issues as parents that we just don't know how we're going to struggle through. Let's keep that main thing the main thing. Focus on Jesus' completed work for us and live from that peace, that main thing is taken care of, and that he will continue to work peace in our hearts until the day of Jesus Christ, when all things will be made new. Well, until then, I got some work to do. God bless you, DR.